Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is Spider, and welcome back to another review. And today we're taking a look at the NECA 1994 Godzilla. This figure released back in 2014 and based on their appearance from Godzilla vs. SpaceGodzilla. So, to get things started, we'll take a look at the packaging. Alrighty, here we have the packaging, which I have to keep at kind of an angle because if I don't, goodness, the glare is very bad. Anywho, on the front here, we have Godzilla, the name of the movie it's from. You got Godzilla in Japanese, and then a Bandai Godzilla figure? Like seriously, that image is of a Bandai Godzilla figure. I know, because I have it. It's this figure right here. That's just this figure. I don't know why there's a Bandai Godzilla figure on a NECA packaging, but whatever, I guess. We'll spin it around, and then we get a pretty nice image of the figure. Once again, you get Godzilla. On the bottom, you get Godzilla, barcode, and on the sides, you get nothing. So, on to the figure. So, here we have the figure. And to begin, we shall take a look at the articulation. So, the head is on a barbell ball joint, which, if you don't know what that is, it's basically a ball joint that looks like a barbell. So it's a ball joint going in the head, one in the neck, and this whole bit here is basically just a sleeve that covers up the joint. And this allows you to make them look that far up and about that far down. You get a little bit of side to side, and it can look around. And it can also look around independently of the sleeve. So, pretty decent movement there. You get the jaw, which can open up. And that's about as far as it opens, which is decent. Then you got the arms, which can go that far out and can rotate all the way around. And you have a bicep rotation that is also a bicep bend. And obviously you have a bend at the elbow, so combine those together, you get a kind of decent bend at the elbow. The hand is also on a ball joint, but you can't really get a whole lot of movement out of it. You're really just going to use it to rotate. And the hand can open and close, which is nice. I like that. And then you have the torso, which is also on a ball joint, which allows him to crunch pretty far. Can't really arch too much because of the dorsal spines. You can get some nice side to side movements, and it can rotate all the way around. Even some SH Monster Arts Godzilla figures can't do that. So, yeah. Although do be wary of the dorsal plates when rotating it like that. I mean, you don't have to worry about it too much because they are softer rubber, so yeah, you don't have to worry about them too much, but just be aware of it. Now the legs. Oh boy, the legs. Okay, so they can't really kick forward. They more so just kick out, unfortunately. You can do a little bit of a spread. Not too much, but I'm not too mad about it because Godzilla in the movie wasn't really spreading his legs all that much anyway, so you kind of get what you really need to replicate anything he did in the film. And then you have the knee, which can bend about that far. Ooh. It is very, very tight. Yeah, that's another thing. You might want to spend some time loosening up some of the joints before you try messing around with it, because, my goodness, especially in the legs, some of these joints are really tight. Anywho, you get a nice knee swivel. And then you have the ankle, which I believe is on a ball joint, so you get a little bit of movement out of it. You get a little bit of ankle tilt. And it can rotate. So that's it for the legs. On to the tail. So, you have a joint here, or a ball joint here at the base, which allows you to move the tail around, and then you have another ball joint right here, and then you have another ball joint right there, and then the rest of the tail is a bendy wire. So that can allow you to bend it and get it into poses and whatnot. You can get some pretty nice bends out of that. Although the drawback of using a bendy wire is that the wire can eventually wear out and break. However, this is NECA. They have a pretty good reputation with bendy wires, at least with me. Like, I have some NECA alien figures, and their entire tails are bendy wires, and I've had those things for years, and they have not broken yet. So, yeah, I'm not too worried about it. And that is pretty much it for the articulation on this big guy, and it's not too bad. It is a bit limited in, like, the elbows and the knees a bit, but that's just due to the pure chunkiness of the figure. It's kind of hard to make fully articulated, big, bulky figures. So, yeah, plus, it's the Heisei Godzilla. He is kind of stiff, so he doesn't get into too many dynamic poses in the film. So the limited bends don't super bother me all that much on this figure. Okay, so now that we're done with articulation, we can move on to the details. So bring him in close here. Actually, no, I don't have to bring him in close because I discovered that my camera can do this. Boop. So yeah, it just automatically zooms in. Ain't that nice? Let's focus in on that mean old mug, and look at that. Look at that Godzilla face. It looks quite nice. You get the little nose there, you get the eyes, but you got the red, yellow, and then the pupil. And that looks quite good. And then you have the mouth there. Take a look at the inside of the mouth. And he does have 2 rows of teeth, which is accurate to the film. I like that they captured that, because it looks quite nice. I always thought, I can't speak. I always thought that made Godzilla look extra ferocious with the 2 rows of teeth. And even the top of the mouth has them, and they are all individually painted, which looks quite nice. Although at the top of the mouth, they get a little sloppy right there, but it's not too bad. Yeah, that looks pretty good. You get the ears, little Godzilla ears. You get the rest of the body. Looks pretty good. You get the arms, which are nice and chunky, as they should. And you get the hands with the claws. And now, the weird thing with the claws on this figure is that all of them have this kind of bluish tint to them. Even the toe claws have it. And I don't know why NECA decided to do that, because that's not what they look like in the movie. In the film, they are ivory, like the teeth and the dorsal plates. It doesn't really make sense why they did that. It's kind of weird. I don't know. Also, the claws are not painted all the way around, which, come on. You could have done that. There are Bandai Godzilla figures that paint their claws all the way around. Like, come on. You could have painted them all the way around. It's not that difficult. Anyways, you get... First at the body, you get the big thunder thighs. Look at those thunder thighs. The big old calves, and then... Godzilla fight. You get the little stamps on the bottom. And you have the Godzilla dorsal plates, which some of them are not fully painted on mine for some reason. Like, you can see these ones, like, they have like more gray underneath, which I think is what the original plastic was casted in for the fins, and they painted over it. But on some of them, they kind of forgot to paint, and so they look kind of uneven and don't fit with the rest of them, which is unfortunate. This side is painted nicely. That looks nice. This one isn't. That's kind of unfortunate. But besides them forgetting to paint the fins, they do look quite nice, and they do continue down all the way to the very tip of the tail. Some of the paint is kind of scraped off, but yeah, they painted all the way to the tip, which is very, very nice. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. Although, another strange paint detail that NECA decided to do is that there are little splashes of green painted on the figure, which, hang on, let me add some more light that might help bring it out. You can see a little bit here on the chest, there's a little bit of green there. It's really obvious on the calves. Like, look at all that green. I don't know why they decided to put green on them, those little splashes of green. That's very strange, because that's not what the Heisei Godzilla looks like. He's pretty much just pure charcoal gray, like most Godzillas are. Like, this isn't the Godzilla 2000 design. Why did they feel the need to put green? I don't know. Thankfully, unless you have it in very specific lights, the green is not super obvious. He just kind of looks like a, glossy black, which is the color that I would expect for Godzilla. So, it's not too bad. Just odd choices. Quite odd. But otherwise, it looks pretty good. I like it. And unfortunately, there are no accessories, so no beam effect, no extra hands, no really anything. Unfortunate. But anyways, I think that is most of everything I wanted to say. Let me check my notes here. Yep, seems like that's everything I wanted to say, so we should move on to the size comparisons. So, to start things off, as always, here it is with a LEGO minifigure, with a Pack of Destruction minifigure Mothra, with the Pack of Destruction minifigure Godzilla. You get a Pack of Destruction minifigure Mogira. Here it is with some Bandai Chibi Godzilla figures, with the Bandai Creation 1954 Godzilla from 2002. With the Bandai Creations 1954 Godzilla 60th Anniversary version. With the Jakks-specific King Ghidorah, just because. And here it is with the NECA Ultimate Edition Gypsy Danger, which is quite a bit taller, unfortunately. I really wish these two were a bit more in scale with each other, because that would have been really, really cool, but unfortunately, they are not. And finally, here it is with the previous review, the Bandai Creation Rainbow Mothra. Now that we're done with all that, it's measuring time! Get out this old measuring tape and see how tall this monster is. You can see he is a little over 6.5 inches tall. And from the foot to the tip of the tail, almost 9 inches. Basically, 9 inches long. So, pretty dang big. And I believe the box said from like the tip of the snout to the tip of the tail is like 12 inches or something, but I don't know. I don't really care about that measurement. So, that is pretty much all I've got to say for this figure, and overall, he's pretty good. I like him. The sculpt isn't 100% accurate to how he appeared in Godzilla vs. SpaceGodzilla, but it's accurate enough. Besides, I don't really know why they tried to make it based off of that specific suit. I guess it's because the SH Monster Godzilla at the time was also based off that suit, so they were trying to compete with that, but really, this figure works much better as just a generic, basic Heisei Godzilla design, instead of trying to be any one in particular. And while the articulation is somewhat limited in certain areas, you still can pull off some pretty interesting poses with the figure, so I'm not all that bothered by it. And the figure is also a bit heftier than you might expect. Like, I weighed him earlier, and he's like nearly 13 ounces, so he's got a little bit of heft to him. And apparently, from what I've seen, he is compatible with SH Monster Arts effects parts. So if you have those beams from that line lying around, you can use them with this figure. Although I don't know if it's compatible with Hiya Toys beam effects. Yet. I should learn that somewhat soon. Hopefully. But, yeah, for NECA's third attempt at a Godzilla figure, he's pretty good, and I definitely do recommend him. If you can find him for the original price, that is. Because the main draw of NECA Godzilla figures was they were lower quality, but way cheaper alternatives to SH Monster Arts. However, on the aftermarket, this figure ain't really that cheap anymore. Like, it was originally $20, but nowadays he's going for like $50 to $70 on eBay, which is just, like, at that point, you might as well just get the Hiya Toys Godzilla. You'd get more for your, more bang for your buck. But if you can find him for more around that $20 to $30 range, then yes, definitely pick him up. Anything more than that, yeah, it's kind of pushing it. Like, he's cool, but not that cool. So, I think that's pretty much it. Oh, hang on, I guess I should probably mention they made a couple alternate versions of this figure. Like, they made a Burning Godzilla version and a Reactor Glow version, which is basically just Burning Godzilla, but green and glows in the dark. So, those exist too. Anyways, now that's it. Hope you all enjoyed. See y'all later. Sayonara. Bye.